Je Chang Chen Te Lo Narodang Marpa Mila Cho Je Gam Popa Du Som Che Ja Kun Ken Karma Pa Che Si Chung Ge Gu Pa Zenam Dang Dre talks awesome Paul Dan Drug Paso Zablam Chagya Chela Nepe Yame Drogon Dapo Kadula So Wadepso Kagyu Lama Nam Gyu Pa Zeno Nam Tar Jen Lo Jen Lok Gongi Kapar Sung Pajan Zainor Kun La Chak Ched Me Padak Say Dear Dotak Chok Pe Gom Chen La Ne Kor Chen Pa Me Pa Jen Je Lo Mogu Gom Ge Go for song pajan manak tergo J A Lama La Gandu Solwa De Pe Gom Chen La Cho Men Mogu Ke War Jen J Lo Yang me gom ge no shir sung pajan gan char tok pe no mo so ma de ma cho de kar jo pe gom chan la gom cha lo dang Rawar Jen Lo Nam Tok No Wo Cho Kor Sung Pajan Chi Yang Ma Yen Chir Yang Charwala Magak Ro Par Char Wei Gom Chen La Cordayer to Arjen Jalo Kewa Kuntu Yadakalamadan Dralme Choki Pala Long Chocheng Sadang Lamki Yom Ten Rapsokne Dorje Changi Gopang Nur Top Chok Dorje Changi Gopang Nur Top Chok Sanjay Chodang Soki Choknama Jangja Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jinso Ke Pe Sonam Ki Drola Penchir Sanjay Drupar Shok Sanjay Chodang Soki Choknam La Jangja Bardu Dakni Kyapsuchi Daki Jinso Ke Pe Sonam Ki Drola Pancher Sanjay Drupar Shok Sanjay Chodang Soke Choknam La Jangja Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jinso Kepe Sonam Ke Drola Pancher Sanjay Druparsho Semchen Tamche Dewa Dang Dewe Gyudan Denpar Gyurchik Duknal Dang Duknal Gyudan Gralwar Gyurchik Duknal Me Pe Dewa Dam Padam Mendral War Gyurchik Ne Ring Chak Dang Ni Dang Gralway Tong Yon Chenpo Lane Par Gyurchik Sem Chen Tam She De Wa Dang De Wei Gyu Dang Den Bar Yor Chik Duk Nao Dang Duk Nao Gi Gyu Dang Gral War Yor Chik Duk Nao Me Pe De Wa Dam Pa Dam Men Dral War Yor Chik Ne Rin Dang Dang Ne Dang Gral Wei Tong Yon Chen Po La Ne Par Yor Chik Sam Chan Tam Che De Wa Dang De Wei Gyu Dan Den Par Gyur Chik Duk Nao Dang Duk Nao Gi Gyu Dan Gral War Gyur Chik Duk Nao Me Pe De Wa Dam Pa Dang Min Gral War Gyur Ne Ring Chak Dang Ni Dang Gral Wei Tong Yon Chen Po La Ne Par Gyur Chik. Well, good evening. And tonight we're going to talk about the 12 links of interdependence. And Yonten, if you would please put up the Taka painting of the Wheel of Becoming. So now last week we went through the different elements of this. Tonight we are going to go through the outer ring, which is a bit like a fence holding the whole thing together. This, it's 12 parts, and this shows the active working of karma. And Jamgon Control the Third compared it to a water wheel. And it's very appropriate because it's spinning. We're spinning in samsara with these 12 links. The first link is a blind man with a cane. So if you would turn to that slide. There you go. And this is not knowing, not recognizing the ultimate nature of things. That this is basic ignorance. We experience things to be solid, real, permanent. We take experience to be more than experience. And this is really what samsara is made of, that every realm, the being in every realm thinks that their experience is permanent, solid, and real. It's easy for us in the human realm to think, well, the way animals see things is their way of seeing things, but our way is the right way. At that point, I'd like to turn it over to Lama Losang.
All right. So our first slide here, as Lama says, is a blind man, which indicates ignorance. A blind person with a stick blundering forward, unable to find his way. So it's a symbol of this lack of insight into reality manifested in actions of body, speech, and mind. And its meaning is, this symbolizes the innate ignorance of confusion and imputes a solid reality upon appearances. This is the basis of the mistaken belief in a true self. And it's represented again by this blind man kind of tottering forward, unsteadily groping towards his way forward. This old man bent with his years, but not with wisdom. And his eyes kind of gaze before him vacantly. He thinks he has been this way before. He seems to picture to himself the landscape around him, and he moves forward. But never has he been here, and the scene he imagines is quite different from reality because he is blind and he staggers and falls, and but each time he drags himself to his feet, with a renewed hope. But ignorance is blindness, basically, and that's usually how we relate to it. It's unable to see, yet believing that we know it all. And it is the lack of insight into reality of things, lack of enlightenment, we could say. So ignorance, however, is not just that we cannot see, but that we think we can see. We have this false illusion about the nature of reality. We may be ignorant of the real nature of things, but we think we know. And if we start to examine what it is in our minds and trying to see how we came by what we take to be knowledge, we realize that what we pass of as knowledge is derived from other sources. We are taught from an early age about the way things are, and these views and those around us we absorb by a kind of osmosis. We tend to see things the way our others see it. And in order to satisfy our desire to belong and our natural disinclination to utilize our own powers of analysis and observation, we tend to follow the crowd. And this is the blind following the blind, basically. And this is what the image indicates. This is the first image, ignorance, or avidya. So, we went through these other aspects previously, and it would be good for those of you who weren't part of last week's discussion to take a look at what we went over, starting, with the image of Yama, the Lord of Death and Time, holding in its jaws this idea of the wheel of existence, which is samsara. So these are all aspects of samsara, and this is known as the 12 links. This is the first of the 12 links of dependent origination. And to understand dependent origination, it is, which is insight. This is the true insight, is the insight that all phenomena of both samsara and nirvana are rooted in illusory appearances that manifest dependently. And this is the first of the 12. And they serve as the basis of causes and conditions that follow. And anywhere along the way, you will see we can break through this series, these conditioned responses that we have, that lead ultimately will lead us to enlightenment and eliminates the deceptive beliefs about reality. So understanding how our attitudes and actions contribute to these mental constructs motivates us towards ethical actions, and as these set the conditions for a good and meaningful life. Ultimately, realizing the nature of dependent origination leads to liberation and attaining the qualities of enlightenment. So we will go through each of the 12, and we will see, and you will be able to see how we do this and how one thing leads to another. This is called dependent origination, And this is the first. It all begins with ignorance.
Okay, I would like to add just a few little details to that excellent explanation. And that is that what happens with this ignorance is that a confused being thinks that I exist. And since I exist, there is other, not I. Also, there is this I exist because there is other. It's very circuitous. And then from that, I like this because it's pleasant. I dislike that because it's unpleasant. Or I don't care. It's not important. And so we divide our experience into I and not I. And we define ourselves, interestingly enough, on the basis of others, how we compare to others, what other people think of us. We think that we are tall because there's somebody else that is shorter than us, and so on and so forth. And so we develop aversion for whatever threatens us, blocks us, impedes us. Fear. There's a lot of fear going on in the world today. It's very good to be observant of what's happening in the world today, and perhaps examine yourself and how you react to fear when it is thrown out or when we run into it. So I guess the final point that I want to make about this is that it's much easier to see this process in other people. It's amazing how easy it is for us to see this in other people. But in actuality, we look into a mirror, see a dirty face, and try to wash the mirror. So now the next slide is karmic creation. And this is a potter throwing clay pots. And this is the power of these three kleshas, these poisons of the mind, of our body, speech, and mind, our actions based on attachment, aversion, and indifference. And again, this is karma. That what we do affects us in the future. And where we are today is a result of things we have done in the past. And there are two types of karma that are important here. Karma means actions, and so actions have consequences. Karmic creation means that we're bringing together circumstances, and that as a result of that, there will be experiences in the future, happiness or suffering, based on our present actions. And sometimes it can be a similar result from an action like killing, taking life. Can cause you to be killed or be very sick in future lifetimes. Another form of karma is a cause for developing tendencies, karmic conditioning and habits, that we condition our mind to see things in a certain way, that we respond in a similar way to similar situations. And this determines what we think is pleasant, what we think is unpleasant. what we like in people, what we dislike in people, what we like in ourselves, what we dislike in other people. I like this example, and I did not bring one with me, but think of a singing bowl and a striker. Now, to us, it's a singing bowl that you would use to begin a meditation session or end a meditation session. And now, my parents, they after retirement, traveled, and they went to India and Nepal, and they came back with a singing bowl. And at some point, I ended up with that singing bowl, but they were using it to put a potted plant in it. That's how they saw it. And if I would take that singing bowl and put water in it, put on the floor, if I had a dog or a cat in the room, they would think that was a drinking bowl. And I could take that bowl to a scrap metal dealer and he would look at it and figure out what it's made out of, weigh it, and put a price on it. This is karmic conditioning. So I'll let Lama Losang continue.
All right, this is the second of the 12 links of dependent origination, also called mental formations. It is the potter at his wheel, and a potter is shaping objects, and it symbolizes deliberate activities, akin to those that shape life and our daily existence and activities, also called volitional actions or karmic formations. So the meaning of this, as you might imagine, is based on the belief in a true I, and there follows mental inclinations from that, leading to actions that produce either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral results, experiences. So this potter is turning lumps of clay on his wheel and with deft hands shaping vases and bowls and pots and dishes, as Lama said. And how each pot turns out depends upon the potter, his skill and experience, aesthetic sense, and even his mood at the time of creation. So these are our volitional activities. And when rage inflames him, his pot is hard and awkward in shape and may demonstrate his desires and determines what shape he will form that lump of clay. The Buddhist has said, as we think, we become, so how we view the world. So the volitional activities are like the potter, the formative forces which shape our own future. This is what we're talking about, karma. There are results to our actions. They are the sum total of all our willing, whether the intentions manifest themselves in overt action or remain as desires in our hearts. Indeed, it is the accumulation of momentum of all our wishes which determines the flow of our lives. So we need to be mindful of, as the Buddha said, as you think, you become. So similarly, the direction and tendency of our being is shaped by countless acts of volition. And every time we do a particular act, we reinforce a particular belief, a particular idea, which we make in the course of our daily existence. And every thought has a direction, an inherent momentum, which discharges itself upon the world. And with every mental image, every longing, every coherent idea, we are radiating a very subtle but extremely powerful field of energy which influences our future behavior, our environment, and certainly our mind stream. So that is the point of being mindful of our activities. And if you want to know how you arrived at the situation you're in now, it has to do with what you've been thinking in the past. And if you want to know what will happen in the future, look at your current thoughts. And it is a projection. It is the consequences of that current thought will project you into some future situation. So we want to be mindful and of those thought forms that we create, that creates as part of our volitional, our karma, which is action, as Lama said. So our thoughts lead to the actions that create the karmic predispositions. Again, everything is cause and conditions. So those things lead to particular consequences. So we see the potter at his wheel.
Well, next slide then. Now, this is consciousness, and it's a monkey in a tree picking fruit. And basically, this is the result of karmic creation. Lama Losang mentioned momentum, and so the momentum propels us to this link here that well, the ignorance and karmic creation are like a bow pulled back and let go, and the arrow takes us to consciousness. In a way, there's an element of powerlessness here, that wherever the arrow hits, it sticks, and it'll stick in terms of our next birth, taking what we have created in one life to our next birth. And so this is a combination of the karmic conditioning of habitual patterns, and then the karma of cause and effect. And also there's this idea of causal consciousness and resultant consciousness. Again, cause and effect. So at the time of our actions of body, speech, and mind, this is the causal consciousness. It's sowing seeds. We are imprinting the results on our consciousness. The seeds will remain dormant until conditions are right, and then they sprout, and that's the resultant consciousness. So then we have consequences, pleasant or unpleasant, and sometimes we wonder, how did I get here? How come I'm having all of these problems and unpleasant situations? Another name for sentient being is karma carrier. And so our mind is a karma carrier in an ordinary sentient being. It carries karma from our present life to the next one. And finally, that the physical karma imprints on our mind, and it becomes imprinted on our body in our next life. So verbal actions will determine our quality of speech in our next lifetime also. With that, I'll turn it over to Lama Losang.
All right. So this is the third consciousness of the monkey in the tree. So the image of this monkey in the tree, restless and scampering from about picking fruit at random. And the symbol is the uncontrolled sense consciousness jumping from one object to the next, We often call this monkey mind, don't we? You've heard that term before, and here it is, monkey mind in action. And the meaning is that consciousness as a continuity of actions has two aspects. It is the moment of causal action, picking the fruit, and the moment of resulting experience. You know, we like the taste, we don't like the taste, we're on to the next event. So this young monkey, frisky in a tree, leaping from branch to branch, never still for a moment, desires one fruit, and before he even finishes eating that fruit, he's off to the next one and sees at the top of the tree a glint of a ripe fruit. So up he goes, hands and feet clasping the tree trunk, and his tail curved and waving, and it seizes the fruit, plucks it, takes an enormous bite, and its mouthful still unchewed, another fruit catches his eyes. So it dashes off towards the next new enticement. And you may be able to relate to this. This is called the desire realm, you know, this human realm. We are constantly in this state of desire. And before one ends, we've already got another one in mind. So it dashes off towards the next new enticement, disregarding the fruit he has just plucked and swallowing down in a hurry whatever is there in his mouth. And soon there is a leap of to the next fruit. So our restlessness is an inherent part of our nature. So an object loses its charm as soon as we are able to acquire it, it would seem. And our attention then is diverted towards another. In an endless array of attraction and aversion, and we're repelling one and attracted to the other. In this process, we are unable to enjoy any of it. So this is true for the activities we perform too. Not having finished the job at hand, we flit to another diversion and remain unfulfilled and devoid of any sense of achievement. We don't complete our task, and we feel unsatisfied. So this is the monkey in the tree. This is the third. This is called consciousness or sentience. When we talk about sentient beings, we are talking about those who can feel and think and have ideas like this. And so this is the third, the image of the monkey in the tree.
Do you want to go on to the next one, Lama? The next slide?
Yes, we can go on to the next. So if you want me to continue here, this is name and form, this fourth. And we see men in a boat here, two people in a boat, and a third steering. So the symbol here is human psychological and physical elements are dependent and inseparable. Together they float on the stream of existence. The meaning of this, the fourth, name and form. Name refers to the four aggregates that constitute a sense of individual identity, which is feeling, perception, the conditioning factors like aversion, and consciousness. So while the form refers to physical form here, so name and form. So we have this idea of each individual is made up of a mind and a body. These are represented by each of these two people in the boat, and one steering the boat is the mind. This is the mind-body composite, which makes up the complete individual that each of us is better known as a psychological or psychophysical organism. We have both a mind and a body, and without the other, each one is incomplete and insufficient. So this represents that aspect, that psychophysical aspect of an organism, a life, and they work together. Each one is incomplete without the other. But name and form, we name things because we have this mind, and we've talked about consciousness, we talked about mental formation, so from that those two things, we come to name and form, the fourth of the 12 links of dependent origination.
Okay, I would like to add, excuse me, I'm having trouble with my voice tonight. Frequently, this also is used to show going from one shore to another, or going from one lifetime to another. That from the first three, we have accumulated all that we need to, at the point of death, then we go on to our next life. And it is, as was said here, the five aggregates. Form is our body and the shape of our body. Feeling is input from our six senses. Unpleasant, pleasant, and neutral. Perception is conceptualizing and judging our experience, and developing the, you might say, beginning to develop the kleshas and samskara, or mental formation is our intention, our reaction, volition, and so forth. And then it comes to consciousness, which is the last one, and that is the situation that we have with all these thoughts and emotions that, as Lama Losang said, take us in all kinds of different confused directions, keep us constantly busy, and so forth. And so that's all I wanted to add to that. And I'd like to go to the next one, which is perceptual entrances. So here we have a Tibetan house, actually a very prosperous Tibetan house, and it's empty. It has windows in it, and these windows are our sense organs. So once we have name and form, we have perceptual entrances. It's unavoidable. And according to my notes, perceptual entrances in Tibetan can be translated to arise and develop. So these arise and develop in our new body, our five sense organs, along with the brain. And this is our connection with the outer world. And so, again, to compare ourselves with sentient beings in other realms, imagine, just think about how you perceive things differently than, let's say, a dog or a blind person. And how does this influence you? That, on the other hand, there's no stopping this process. There's no independence. There's no freedom. One link leads to another, to another. And the idea is to develop within us the determination to attain independence and freedom. So once there is consciousness, and then we have these perceptual entrances, we have our senses. The five senses are taste, touch, sight, hearing, feeling, and then mental consciousness. And so this is how the situation works. To go over these, what we've covered so far here, that ignorance is a blind person who doesn't see where to go. Because of this, we don't see the true nature of reality, the way things actually are. We wander blindly in samsara. Then, because of the example of the potter, we create from a raw lump of clay all kinds of things, shape our future, body, speech, and mind. Then we're always, as Lama Losang said, we're busy playing, swinging in the tree, eating, getting into things, monkey mind. And then the consciousness can be positive or negative, but it produces momentum. And then with these perceptual entrances, things start to get very complicated. Okay, Lama.
Yes, so this is the house with the empty windows, our sense organs, as has been mentioned. And, this represents our body and mind as well. And the man sits within the house, which has the 5 windows and a door. And through these apertures, we watch the world. And the windows, as has been mentioned, and the door, these 6 aspects denote the 6 senses: our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body altogether, with the mind. And the senses are the portals, whereby we gain impressions and ideas about our world. And the worlds to which the physical senses gives us access are the lowest, the physical forms. It is only through the door of the mind that we can have access to higher worlds, which are very real. And the faculty for receiving them is cultivated through meditation, which is defined as an exercise for the mind. We meditate with the mind and not with the senses. So when we look at these 6 senses and the house with the 5 windows and the door, the symbol, again, the windows represent the 5 senses and the door, the mind. These are the organs by which the outer world is perceived. And the meaning for this 5th of the 12 is that these are the consciousnesses that are the basis of our perceptions and our experience. We are experiencing the world through our senses, and our senses are not always that accurate either. What we hear, feel, taste, touch are all very individual, and we all have different aspects and different capacities. But and we often don't see things the same way, or taste things the same way, or hear things the same way. They are really unreliable in a certain kind of way. But the mind still makes a reference about it, and then we begin to judge things. We like it, we don't like it. This is the essence of the 6 senses, the 5th of the 12 links of dependent origination. All these, as Lama just went through, beginning with ignorance, mental formations, consciousness, name and form, and the 6 senses, all work in a particular way. But once we do understand these things, we don't have to be victimized by them. We can see them for what they are, and we can begin to be mindful of the situation that we find ourselves in, which, as we continue along, we can break the cycle and realize the truth of our Buddha nature, which is beyond these particular aspects. And we go beyond the beyond into the realm of true seeing, ultimate reality. Okay.
This is number 6. The 6th length is called contact. and it's a man and a woman touching. And this is just coming together of the senses, the sense organs, the sense object, and a moment of consciousness. So there is this consciousness, this awareness that is present. So awareness of thoughts, emotions, mental events, awareness of the five sense consciousnesses. And so now there is this experience of the outside world. And really, that's all I have to say. So I'll let Lama Losang add to this if he has anything to say.
Yes, so contact, again, the couple embracing, this is a sensuous impression. A man and a woman gaze at each other, maybe passionately, their hands entwine and pull each other towards each other, clasping each other close. They strain to press their bodies into one. So a couple embracing depicts the contact of the sense organs with their objects. It's not only physical. I mean, we make contact in our hearing, in our seeing, in our tasting, and we're hoping for some ultimate fulfillment. So contact, the image of a man and woman embracing. The symbol is the senses are making contact with the world. Its image here is a man and a woman, but it is also through the senses in other ways as well. And the mind and the body interact in this sensual perception. So the meaning of this particular graphic, the meeting of the senses and their objects produce an experience of phenomena, we have an experience. And that's really what our mind does. That is really what we are doing embodied as we are in this physical form, is to grasp experience. But how we experience it is very individual. And our grasping for more experience is the nature of grasping and clinging, and leads to our suffering. So again, this is a place where we can disengage from that knee-jerk response, or that sensual objects and our attractions and aversions and all those things that create suffering for us once we identify the situation. So this is contact, number 6 of the 12. This is, okay, we can go on.
Well, this is a feeling or a sensation. And it's frequently showing a man with a stick or an arrow in his eye. Here, it looks like he's got his finger in his eye. So once there is contact, there are feelings, either pleasant, unpleasant, indifferent. And this is a mental factor of the mind. The eye is used because it's very sensitive. Even a little a little piece of dust or sand in the eye causes a lot of feeling and sensation. And the idea is that with this feeling is strong, it's effective, it drives us, and it causes us then into generate certain actions of body, speech, and mind, and frequently more pain. Go ahead, Lama.
Yes. So this image of feeling, there's an arrow. It's hard to see in this picture an arrow, but there's actually an arrow in his eye. You can see
Oh, I see it now. Yes,
yeah,
thank
there's
you. I see it.
actually an arrow is the depiction here of a man with an arrow in his eye. And the symbol is the swiftness and accuracy of the arrow, symbolizing the power of outer reality, making a powerful contact with our inner reality. And we take it to be very real. The meaning is that feeling of pleasure and displeasure and neutrality arising when objects are encountered. This is a relatively negative one. You can imagine the pain that shatters the silence of a man, falls to his knees in pain, groaning, and his hands pressed to his face, at the center of his right eye. Embedded deeply in it is an arrow. This arrow, again, represents sense data impinging upon the sense organs, and in this case, the eye. And in a very vivid way, the image suggests the strong feelings which our sensory experience invokes. We can take it very intensely, these different aspects of our senses. The feelings are either painful or pleasant. Pleasure and pain are experienced on a number of different levels, ranging from direct physical sensations to the loftiest bliss, of liberation. There's lots of feelings and desperation and pain and suffering. But according to Buddhist psychology, the experience of direct pain is confined to a relatively small area of total possibilities of conscious experience. But these, unfortunately, more often than not, are the areas in which we habitually dwell, in pain and suffering. We really don't like that. We're always trying to escape it and to try to seek pleasure in our life. But of course, we can't do that all the time. And we usually dwell on the negative experiences. And sometimes we say we shoot ourselves with a second arrow. We have an experience of feeling that's negative, and then we catastrophize it and make it worse. And that is said to shoot ourselves with a second arrow right in the eye sometimes. And that feeling of desperation and anger and frustration just aggravates the whole thing. So this is feeling, the image of a man with an arrow in his eye.
Okay, next slide. Yeah, this is desire, grasping, involvement, or attachment, or you could be all four of them. And it's people partying, maybe drinking beer. It's hard to see what the woman is holding, but it looks like she's maybe pouring something into a cup that the man is holding. So this is the desire to continue pleasant situations, the desire to avoid unpleasant ones or ignore it. So once there is feeling, this has to follow. And quote, attachment is a mental factor that increases desire without providing any satisfaction, end quote. Go ahead, Lama.
So you might see how we're arriving at these different things. We have the senses, we have contact with something, we have a feeling about it, and this next one is craving. We want it. So there's a woman offering a drink to a man, and this next link is illustrated by a seated man being offered a drink by the woman who stands before him. And the fact that it is a woman offering a drink to a man may be intended also to bring to mind the intensity of sexual desire. And the man partaking alcohol emphasizes the addictive nature of pleasure. So this is craving, and an image, a man eating and drinking. The symbol, of course, illustrates the desire stimulated by perception and emotions that lead to more attachment, and we can't just get enough, we have to have more. And the meaning is the subsequent to the feeling, there is desire to experience pleasure and avoid displeasure. So we're constantly seeking this pleasure and constantly trying to avoid the displeasure. And all of our addictions and running after this, that, or the next thing is the attempt to be happy, but we are often confused, that ignorance persists through all of these dependent links, these 12 links of dependent origination. We get confused. We don't see things clearly. And here we see that this craving, we have the senses, we have contact, we have feeling, and now that has gone a little deeper into wanting more. We crave it. And so you can see how addiction arises. It's never satisfied. We want more.
Okay, next slide. Yeah, this is number 9, link number 9, and it is addiction or adoption. And it is, in this case, it's a person picking fruit. Sometimes it's a monkey picking fruit. But this would be making plans to continue pleasant experiences or to continue to avoid unpleasant experiences. That we want the desire to be total. We want the whatever it is to be continuous. And so it's a form of addiction. In a way, we're addicted to samsara. We're addicted to one pleasant experience after another. And of course, we never do succeed in having one pleasant experience after another. And from a opposite viewpoint is we're continuously addicted to avoiding one unpleasant experience after another. And it's the same for apathy, denial, and indifference. That just this link just intensifies karma that is created by desire, and that from birth to death, this is continuous. We are addicted to samsara. So I'll let you go on, Lama.
Yeah, the image is often a woman, on the tree plucking fruit and grasping. The 9th is grasping, the image of a person plucking fruit from a tree. And it symbolizes desire for fruit. It could be anything, but here where the desire for the fruit that leads the person to climbing the tree and grasping the fruit. It starts with the feeling and the craving for it, and then the grasping after it. So this is the image is a logical development of the previous link that we talked about, namely that craving. The craving leads to the action to fulfill the desire. The woman who climbs the tree to pluck a fruit represents craving having taken the form of concrete action. So attached to a particular object by our obsessive craving, we attempt to grasp it in a futile manner because it's never going to be graspable in the way we want it. So the fruit is an ancient symbol for earthly desires. And a woman going up to the length of climbing a tree to grasp what she perceives as the fulfillment of her desires is a metaphor, enough for almost, this proportionate efforts that we expend our energy on in the pursuit of similar temptations. We go to great lengths to satisfy this grasping. So the meaning, of course, is the impulse to seize the desired object once craving arises. And this happens in our life all the time. These are to be meditated upon, these 12 links, and to see how they apply in our day-to-day life. And they are definitely applicable. So we're going through them, but, we hear it, we contemplate it, and we meditate on it. So this is the introduction to these 12 links of dependent origination, which require us to really spend some time on. So hopefully you will do that.
Yeah, I would like to go into this grasping in more detail. First is, as has been mentioned, grasping at desired objects. There is also grasping at views of ourselves, how we view ourselves. And I am using views in the plural because at one point during the day, we might have a very positive view of ourselves, and 30 minutes later, we might be having a negative view of ourselves because we did something wrong and made a mistake. So that's the second. The third type of grasping is grasping at bad systems of ethics and conduct, grasping at a negative behavior. And then grasping at bad views. In the 10 non-virtuous actions, there's wrong view. And one of the wrong views would be to think that karma really is not applicable to me, that I don't have to worry about what my actions, the results of my actions, that the reason why I'm having problems is other people are victimizing me, that I'm a victim. That's what the problem is. Other people are screwing me. And I'm just going to finish at that point about this link. Oh, I do have one more thing here. I scroll down to my notes that name and form through addiction and grasping, this constitute one lifetime. And as Lama Losang mentioned, we go through these over and over and over again in one lifetime, that we continually experience these things as we go through our lives, go through the day even. And it's good to, as he mentioned, to analyze, to observe, so you have something to analyze, get to know your habitual patterns, and look deeply so that you can start seeing how this whole thing arises. I'm done with that link. So next comes 10, and Lama Losang, if you would like to discuss this first, that's fine with me.
All right, this is a couple making love, bringing into existence. So lost to all but their own urgent desire, a couple melts together in the act of love and tumbling rapturously to their release. They do not know that a new life has started in the woman's womb. Often you'll see a pregnant woman in this particular slide as well. So thus the image for bringing into existence, becoming, is a man and a woman performing the sexual act and initiating a new life. So this is now becoming, so this we're coming full circle. The image of a woman moving towards her lover. Sometimes, as I said, it's seen as a pregnant woman. The symbol is the action of symbolizing, bringing into existence the continuation and sensation. It starts all over again. The new existence arises as a result of craving and grasping. So this is the next in the series. A new life is starting. And it's going to go through the same process once again.
Yes, I have not too much more to add to that. I'll just kind of restate it that we have no control of this process, that when we die, we will take rebirth. and that is the situation that we are in. So next slide. Now this is it's called rebirth. So here is a woman giving birth, and the new body emerges into the world. This is dependent arising. And again, this is a result of our karma, and this new life will experience suffering and happiness, indifference, go through the various links of interdependence that we have just talked about from 4 to 9, and accumulate all kinds of karma. And this, of course, will lead to aging and death. It is said, I think the Buddha said this, that the cause of death is birth. So Lama, I'll turn this over to you.
Yes, so again, we see this is the 11th of 12 links, the woman in birth or in labor, giving birth. So after the process of procreation, which we saw in the previous becoming, the actual episode of giving birth is here. And this is often represented by an explicit image of a woman delivering a child. And this new life is the condition in dependence upon which arises death and decay, and rebirth follows. So birth, this image of a woman about to or is giving birth, and symbolizes birth arising as a new becoming, and it is a beginning of suffering. The Buddha says birth, old age, sickness, and death. This is the desire realm in our particular realm of existence. Birth is a metaphor for all new arisings, mental and physical. So this meaning, due to the above causes and conditions that we mentioned, consciousness takes birth again and again in one of the 6 realms. And we talked last time about the 6 realms, the human realm being one of the 6, considered the most auspicious, because we have the capacity to understand and practice. We have a Buddha who taught, and we have, since that time, teachers who have manifested the wisdom to continue that teaching from the time of the Buddha. And we have the good fortune of having teachers to educate us in what we're talking about, so we can understand the process of these 12 links of dependent origination and see clearly how our craving and our grasping and becoming and birth, and next is old age, sickness, and death, arise for us based on our attachments and aversions. So this new life is the condition in this realm upon which arises death and decay, as the cycle continues, unless we break the cycle and we understand the truth of this existence and are able to move through it, past it, understand it with wisdom. And so we have the good fortune of being able to do that.
Next slide, please. So this is aging and death. Here we have a man carrying on his back a wrapped up corpse, and he's taking it to a sky burial site. There are 2 vultures there that are feeding on a corpse. And as our body ages and we get older and older, the body deteriorates, and But between birth and death, there are lots of experiences, as have just been explained. And the end, of course, is inevitable, which is death. And then in Tibet, anyway, you would be taken to a sky burial site in most cases. And so this is the end of the third life. These 12 links encompass 3 lives. You have the first life that ends with the boat carrying someone over from one shore to another. The second life ends with it doesn't depict death, but you have the creation of a new life with a man and a woman in the sexual act of creating a new life. And so then the result of that is birth and then now death. So this is the situation that we are in. And this is a little bit off topic, but here's an experience that I had. I was in Lhasa and I went to a sky burial site. And there were no sky burials happening when I was there. There were vultures on a cliff above waiting. And I had another American with me that could translate into Tibetan. And the monk was Kagyu. He had a picture of the 17th Karmapa in the shrine room. And there was a woman there that an older woman, not an elderly woman, but an older woman, and she was extremely curious about this Western monk. And so was the Tibetan monk that was in charge of the sky burial site. And so the monk was asking about who I was, who my teacher was, and so forth, and told him that I was a student of Khenpo Karta Rinpoche, and I had completed a 3-year retreat under his guidance, him being the retreat master. And when I finished saying that, the woman said, well, I come from the area where Rinpoche lived, and I have heard about him, but I have never met him. And at that point, she got down on her knees and touched the top of her head to the bottom of my robes. That she had that kind of respect for Khenpo Rinpoche. So that's a little experience that I had at a sky burial site in the Lhasa area. So to continue with this, that there are 3 elements of samsara that are in these 12 links. Mental afflictions or kleshas are ignorance, desire, and addiction. Action caused by the kleshas are karmic formation and becoming. Suffering is consciousness, name and form, perceptual entrances, contact, feeling, birth, old age, and death. So these are the same as the first noble truth, these sufferings, this third group. So I'll turn this over to you, Lama.
Right. So this is the last of the 12, representing old age and death. So the final link is frequently portrayed. It can be of a coffin or being carried towards its ultimate rest, or in this picture, you know, vultures feeding on the dead corpse. So whatever is born is bound to experience the attacks of sickness, the waning of physical powers in old age, the pain of separation and loss, and finally death. Once birth has taken place, a process has been set in motion, which always ends in death. For birth and death are part of the integral parts of the cycle of samsara. So a man, whether it's wrapped as a corpse or being eaten by those birds of prey or the vultures, the symbol is old age and death are the inevitable consequences of being born. And I think the meaning is pretty obvious when the causes and conditions that sustain the physical form are exhausted. We've finished our karma for this life. A death occurs. Yet, as long as there is still ignorance, these links continue interdependently to perpetuate samsara and its suffering. So that is the 12 links of the dependent origination. So in conclusion, we can say that the Buddhist wheel of life symbolically represents how all sentient beings who have not practiced the Dharma and liberated themselves are bound in a cycle of existences whose very nature is suffering. We understand the Four Noble Truths, that there is suffering and there's a cause of that suffering. And the good news is there's a way out of that suffering through following the Noble Eightfold Path. The symbolism is depicted through a series of pictograms that we just went through that are meant to act as powerful mnemonic devices for both, serious practitioners and lay people. These were often on the monastery walls when you entered the monastery or the shrine room, the gompa, to remind us of this situation that we find ourselves in. This is samsara. This is the wheel of life. And so this is the old masters prescribed that one should think about this diagram and focus on it day and night so as to never forget its meaning. And if possible, one should put up a pictorial representation of it, if necessary, in your shrine room to remind you, to give you the impetus to practice so that we no longer have to continue through this cycle, life after life. Up till now, we have not been successful in breaking these 12 links. But now that we understand them, we can make an effort to practice diligently. Once this happens, the wish to be free of this mindless suffering is spontaneous and constant. We can wake up. An apt comparison would be with a sick man who, while suffering from a chronic painful ailment, discovers after a thorough medical examination that the reason for his illness is some the regular component in his diet. And such a person would immediately try to remedy that defect. Well, we know what the defect is. Our mind that is preoccupied with these cravings and clinging to a self or to a situation that is inevitably going to cause us pain, which we create for ourselves. We now have a view by using this mnemonic device, the tanka of the wheel of life, to study it, understand it, and realize the truth behind it. That is really the purpose of going through this together. So I hope this has been helpful. I encourage you to continue to study it. And there is a good book on karma. This is about the wheel of life and karma. There is a good book by Charlig Rinpoche, what it is, karma, what it is, what it isn't, and why it matters. I'm suggesting this to you to further your study about karma, and it has a foreword by His Holiness the 17th Karmapa. So with that, I give you back to Lama Yeshe.
Well, I have very little to say I guess the one thing I do want to say is that, of course, this whole tanka is about relative reality. This is the way relative reality appears to ordinary beings, and to an enlightened being. It wouldn't, they would see, of course, the way as ordinary beings see, but realize that this is not the way things actually are, that it is a result of the confused minds of the beings that are in it. And to kind of increase the emphasis on this, that the way an animal sees water is one way. A human sees water in a way that is different from humans. A hell being sees water as fiery lava or ice. A hungry ghost sees water as pus and blood. The gods see it as bliss producing nectar. And of course, a Buddha would see it as it is. So I'm losing my voice. Lama, would you like to do the concluding prayers, please?
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and put those up, please. Yunton, do you have the date for the questions and answers? So we've completed our 2 sessions for this series, but there will be questions and answers, and we'll be available to answer questions that you may have about this particular teaching. And I don't have the dates in front of me, but
I believe it's 3 weeks
We'll
from
put it-
now. We have five sessions, and then that. So this is the 3rd session in Dharma Pass 3. So there should be 2 more teachings, and then a question and answer session.
yes. So you're welcome to join us for that. Jel kun ninje rang su kama pa. Jel kun trin le jik du kama pa. Jel kun duk sa wang kur kama pa. Ur jan du trin le shap ten so. Sonam di tam che sit ani. Dobne ne pedranam pam sheni. Yegana chi balum tukpayi. Si pe sole dro aner dro shok. Jampa pawo jitar ken padang. Kundu sampo de yang de shinte. De da kunji jesu dak lok ching. Ge wadi dak tam she rap tu no. Sanje kusum ne pe jin lap dong. Shoni min je den pe jin lap dong. Gendun mi che dun pe jin lap ki. Jitar no amun lam ju par sho. Du zi gel gel wei trin le pa. Karma pa ten ten pe ning po di. Chok tar kun chap chap jing yun me che. Tak para pel pel wei cha shi sho. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.